Hey guys, it's Gina here. I am back with some items from the Bargain Bead Box that we just opened up the other day. And I thought it'd be fun to put a necklace together. I already started the necklace, but I figured we could put it together, and we could also take a look at the earrings and bracelet that I made from the contents. And right here are the remaining beads. So you can see there's a ton of beads that I don't plan to use in the design that I'm going to share, which is right here. That's the bracelet and earrings, of course. And then I've got some links that I started to wrap and the materials that we need to put that together into a necklace. And it's just a great deal. So with all that, still have a lot left to work with. And I've got a few ideas for what's remaining, and that's always fun. But if you are curious about the Bargain Bead Box, you can check for that link right down below. I do have a coupon code also. It is OPAL2, and you can save $2 off your first box. Highly recommend it, and each month you're going to get different materials, beads, and findings. So especially if you like stringing projects or wire work, you can also do some seed beading and bead weaving with the materials. But as you can see, you get some gemstone beads, glass beads of all different sizes, and the colors coordinate. It's great. So like I said, I've put some links together, and there's a couple of different ideas I have for a necklace that could be put together with those wraps. And then to show you the bracelet, which I've already done. I don't have enough materials of this specifically to make another one, but it's just a pretty much basic strung bracelet on beading wire, and I used some wire guards to finish that up right there, and some crimp beads and some, let's see, spacers. Oh, and I wanted to mention too, because I thought it was kind of neat, we got the Moon Phases spacer beads. So these two are just basic rounds. Those came in that mix. We got some rounds and some crescents. So it's just to give you an idea of how you can pick and choose those beads and use them separately if you want. And I thought it might be fun to use the crescents in the necklace. So also the Carnelian, isn't that pretty? The Carnelian right there, I spaced those out with some of the gold colored spacer beads that came in the box this month, and used some of the coordinating 10mm glass faceted rounds there. Added in one of the moon links because there was, I think the theme was Bohemian Nights. We had some moon findings. There's a little charm that I added as well. Had a little space right there, and it worked out perfectly putting that charm on the moon link. And it just kind of brings everything together with that theme, not just the colors, but also the findings that are included. Little lobster clasp, you can finish that off in all different ways. So it's just an idea. If you need some inspiration, maybe it'll help you get that going so you can pull out your materials and put something together, whether it's from this box or things you might already have. So that, yeah, is the bracelet. And then for the earrings, just so you'll be able to see them closer up, you can see I also used two of those really shiny moon links. The only thing is I keep fingerprinting them. They're really easy to mark up, but otherwise they're very shiny if you just give them a little cleanup. And I've got the 10mm faceted blue rounds down there, really pretty sky blue, and also using some of the Turquoise Magnesite stones as well. So those are the three different beads that I pulled together for this design. I pulled some of these earring findings from my stash that I had, and then to create the little links for these beads, I used some 26 gauge light gold colored beading wire. So that's that for the earrings. But I thought maybe we could hang out and make the necklace. So I have another head pin here and a few more beads. We can put this together. I keep saying that, man. Together. So I can show you how to do that, and then I've got a total of, let's see, I think it's gonna be 12 links. There we go. 12 links. And these head pins I already had. They've got the little ball down there at the bottom, but I did find that I needed to add the spacer bead to the bottom as well, because if I didn't, those blue 10mm beads were gonna slide right off in some cases. Some of them stayed, but just to be safe, add in a spacer bead at the bottom if you need to. And these are about a 2-inch long head pin. And I do believe Bargain Bead Box has an assortment of head pins on their site right now. That is the sister site of the subscription. So if you're not a subscriber to this box and you want some of these materials, check out their shop. And you can often find materials after they send out their monthly packages. And even if you're a subscriber, you can go and pick out more of the items if you wanted to make additional things too. So, got our spacer bead at the bottom of the head pin. Then the order I strung those on was I started with the largest 10mm bead. Zoom in. There we go. So we got our 10mm, and then I'm going to pick up one of those beautiful Carnelians. And then the smaller magnesite. I'm going to get a different one. I think because I had taken that one off, it's got a little chippy. But I've got more. All right. So that's the order I strung them on. Pretty easy. And most of you probably know how to do a wire wrapped loop, but if not, we'll do that together. So I just took that remaining part of the head pin and bent it at a 90-degree angle, made sure those beads are all together without a whole lot of space in between so they're secure. I'm gonna just take my round nose pliers and scoot it about a 1/4 inch back, and then wrap that wire around the end of the pliers, just like that. I'm gonna put the pliers back in and bring out some chain nose and just finish wrapping the remaining portion of that head pin around the top of the magnesite bead. So I'm just gonna pinch that and just wrap it around a couple times so that it is secure. And then just straighten up that loop as best you can. Because what I'm thinking is these are going to hang down from some bead stringing wire. And trying to get those loops to be about the same size on each of those wire wrapped links. So just when you're making those, kind of make a mental note of where you are positioning your loop on the pliers, and that way you can keep them all about the same size and they'll hang down, you know, in a uniform way. So if you have some remaining there, you can just take your wire cutters and gently snip off your excess. All right. And bring this back in and just tighten that up a little bit. If you hear some noise in the background, my dishwasher is going, like going. it gets a little loud sometimes. All right, so just secure that as best you can. And that should be link number 12. I'm gonna pull in some bead stringing wire. And I've got a couple ways we can do this. I'm gonna see which one we're gonna go with. First, I liked having these little crescents on either side of these little dangle bits. So I'm gonna string on one of those like this. That'll go on one side. And then I'm going to follow that up with one of the spacer beads. And it kind of fits right in there, snug, safe and sound. Next, I'm going to pull out some more of these magnesite beads. I'm going to pull those guys in. All right, so what we can do is alternate one of these rounds like that, and then pick up one of the links and pull that down. You can just keep alternating the magnesite beads and the links. And this is what I started with. This is what I was intending to turn the necklace into, which I still like it, but I think I'm gonna do option 2. This was just still a pretty good option. So just alternating those. You can see already when I hold that up, they hang pretty nice. You could put all 12 of them in the center and follow that up with the other crescent. I'll go ahead and put them all on. We're not in any hurry, right, guys? All right. String that. And I think I'm going to go with that clasp that they included in the box too. We'll see. All right. I just love the way the colors are striped like that. Makes a really nice impact when they are put together. And all these magnesite beads, they've got that little black veining, so they're all just a little different. Some of them are almost a solid turquoise that I had pulled back. And then you can actually finish this style of necklace off in a couple different ways too. You can finish it off on either side with all the rest of the magnesite rounds, or you could leave your bead stringing wire plain and just crimp these beads in place in the center as another option. Maybe use some soft flex beading wire in a coordinating color. They've got so many different beautiful colors of their bead stringing wire. Excuse me. All right, so I'm gonna add on the other spacer and crescent. There we go. Isn't that cute? So that's one option. It does hang pretty well. It would be better if I had the necklace all complete and all that, and if I hold them up they won't overlap so much like they're doing now. But I really like how that came together, and like I said, I think I'm going to go with the second option, which is to space those out a little bit more. So you'll see what you think, but I tried a little test run with that and I really liked it. So similar to what we already did, except we can add 2 magnesite beads and a spacer in between each of the links this time. And so it gives the necklace a little different look. I do actually like the way this second option lays a little bit more. So once again, we can string on one of our crescent spacers and then one of those other ones. And let's see. I think I'm gonna do a magnesite, a link, magnesite, spacer, magnesite, link, and just keep repeating. I'll move this up. There's my little moon. There it is. There's my little moon. So I think I'm gonna just keep repeating this right here. Bring in my rounds. I'd love to know what you all have been up to with your Bargain Bead Box materials, so feel free to share down below. It's also super helpful for anyone else who's watching, maybe has the materials from the box and is wondering what to do with theirs. We can all help each other out, and just fun to come up with different ideas for the same materials because we all have different ways of thinking about putting these items together. All right, so there's another little group, and then we're going to add on the next link. And we'll just keep doing that. That burnt orange color is a great contrast with the aqua. Really good combination. Whoops. Here's a link. And as you're making your designs, it is helpful if you can have your beads laid out beforehand, especially if you're trying to talk or do something at the same time. Maybe that's just me. All right, that should get into a little rhythm. And overall, I think the necklace is gonna turn out to be about 18 inches long. I trimmed off additional, of course, of the bead stringing wire so that there'd be plenty when it comes to finishing that off with the wire guards and the clasp. So just give yourself some extra, even a little bit more than you think you may need. Go. Trying not to get that wire kinked up either. I want to see how this looks so far. That's cute, right? It's laying very nicely. not that difficult. Just checking as I go to make sure I didn't miss anything in between these before I have them all strung on, because if anyone will do that, it's me. It's okay though. I'm used to myself by now. All right. So I love the fact that this really goes well with the bracelet and earrings. Like I said, makes a whole set. And then included were also, I need to stop talking while I'm making this, but I'm not going to. But also that really interesting pendant. You'll have to watch the unboxing if you hadn't seen it. Curious to know if you guys are going to do anything different with that, leave it as is. I know some of you are really talented with wire, all sorts of creative beading people out there. So like I said, feel free to share down below if you have any thoughts or ideas or suggestions. And I certainly don't know everything either, so I learn a lot from you guys too, and I always appreciate hearing what you have to say. All right. Getting there. Around, a spacer around, a link. I gotta get another round. For a second I thought I ran out, but I didn't. There's even more. Okay. Let me move that up so you can actually see. Do that one. See what I mean? Some of them are almost all aqua. All right, here's our last link. And I totally didn't look and see like which way I added the links on, but you can do that. You'd have to look really close, but what I mean is how the loop is wrapped, like what direction the wrapping went in. I just kind of went random and put them on the bead stringing wire just as I picked them up. And that's just something else that's up to you as well. So I need one more magnesite, here we go, to make that symmetrical to the other side. Adding a spacer and then our other little moon. Pull that together. Yeah. So that is an idea for what you can do with some of these Bargain Bead Box beads. And like I said, you can take some crimp beads, you can crimp those on either side of the crescents, which will hold these beads in place in the center if you'd like to do that. And you can continue adding on more magnesite beads or seed beads, or you can add your wire guards here and add ribbon to the end or cord or anything you want to do. There's so many different things you could do. Since I have more magnesite beads, let's see how far those get us. Let's see. Try to split them up into two groups. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 10, 11. All right, that's closer. Make sure I didn't miss anything weird. I'm like double checking that as I do. All right, and then maybe we can bring in some more of our gold spacers. We'll see how many we have I do have a few extra ones of those, it looks like, that I didn't pull over yet. All right, so let's continue on. Just gonna alternate these. And then I'm just gonna see the ones that are more blank, I'll call them, without the black streaks. Kind of intersperse those in. Make it look a little more random. And then I put two next to each other that aren't. But that's the way it goes. So just keep going. I did this on the first version of the necklace that I was testing, and I believe it was enough of the rounds and the spacers to get us to about an 18-inch necklace. So it should be the same in this application. Move that back, that extra there just in case. All right, so that's one side done. Getting bold and picking up more than one bead at a time. All right. Let me do a final count. So I need one more over here, which means I can add these last two. Nice. Not nice. Nice. There we go. So the beads are on. We can finish that up. And I'm gonna look for a little clip so my beads don't go flying off one side. Okay. Fool me once, shame on you, right? I've had that happen more than once. Just gotta keep learning. Learning from all these beading misadventures is what it's all about. Cute, I'm liking that. All right, so on one side of the beading wire, and I do have what I would consider too much for me on this one side, but that's the size I had left on the spool, and that's what I'm going with. So let's see, first I'm gonna pull out, we're gonna need a crimp tube, and a cover. Let me make sure I've got matching ones before I get too hasty. Let's see, do those, yeah, those match. 2, 2, and 2. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and put on a crimp tube and then string on one of these wire guards going up through one side. There we go. Pulling that down and then taking the other end of the bead stringing wire, going around the other side of the wire guard, catching the crimp tube that we added, and then you can keep going through a couple of these beads. I've got a lot extra, so I'll go through 4 or 5 beads and just pull the end right down like so. It's always a little easier to do the first one because you have the remaining side that you still will be pulling taut, so you don't have to worry about getting the wire completely snug yet. Let me grab my crimping pliers 1 second. You guys, they were right next to me the whole time. Okay, let's crimp the tube there with this back section. And squeeze that tight. There we go. And it kind of flattens it out. Sometimes it makes a nice V shape for me. This time it's more flat. I'm gonna see if I can try that again. Because if it makes the V shape, it'll be easier to fold. And putting that further up into the pliers and just folding that over on itself and squeezing that metal onto the wire. That's going to keep it secure. And before I do the other side and tighten that up, I'm going to take one of the crimp beads like we have here and just gently put that over the wire, over the crimp tube area, and squeeze that closed. And so it looks like a little bead. It's going to cover up the tube. And I'll go ahead and trim off some of this excess wire to get it out of the way. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And take off the clamp. Pick up a crimp tube, wire guard. Take out the lint and puppy dog hair piece. There we go. This is real stuff, you guys. All right, going around the wire guard like that on the other side, going back through that crimp tube, and then just feeding the end of that wire through a few more beads. And then I'm gonna hold on to that like so and pull on the end with my other hand. All right. Oh, and actually, it almost got me. I didn't add the extra spacer bead to the end of this side, so let me back this up. Take out that spacer bead. Otherwise, that would have been a little problem. That's why it's good to check. All right, so let's try that again. That was a good practice. Crimp tube and wire guard. And then through the crimp tube, through a few beads. And pull that down. There. Now bring back in the crimping pliers. I love these pliers so much. I use them so much just for more than crimp tubes, and I guess I used them so much I don't even have the spring on the pliers anymore, so I think I need a new pair because I'm kind of having to be creative with how I use these in my hand. All right, and then squeeze the end because we want to flatten that so that it's secure. Okay, that's good. And we've got just enough room there at the end for our other little crimp cover. I don't know if I keep calling that a crimp bead, but it's a crimp cover. And we're gonna put that over the tube and gently close that. Let me get a different one. I'll just kind of hold that in place. Hold that down. There we go. And then just squeeze that closed. And it becomes like a little round spacer bead all of its own. And then trim off your excess wire. And there we go. Let me take a sip of my beverage. Tell you, these allergies. All right, so we've got the clasp here. Let's see. Might as well use the one that they included. Yeah, that's how we want it to go. Just trying to think. I think I want actually this to be on that side. I'm trying to think of how that would be in my hands if I'm putting that on. And that over there. And it looks like we can just simply add those on to either side with some jump rings. So I just happen to have a couple that I pulled from the old stash. So we can use those. And they also included some chain. So if you're gonna pinch, you might be able to use some links from the chain. But I know a lot of us have some golden colored jump rings of some form. I love the oval shaped ones, but I'm gonna go with these little round ones right now. So take that, I opened it up and put that on the loop. And then just twisting that back closed. I didn't pull it apart like this. You just twist it and that helps it keep its shape better. Okay. And we'll do the same thing with the other one. There we go. Oh, and also here's one more little charm that was included in the materials, and I used it in the bracelet. But how cute is that to use next to the necklace clasp as well? Kind of coordinates, pulls the set together. So that which came with its own jump ring, let me just go ahead and put that on. Just being silly talking about it, let's just do it. Just do it. if I can find the opening. I think I found it. Okay. And let's put it on, let me think. Let's just attach it to the wire guard. Can always move it. That works. I love those little details. Adding a little charm next to the clasp, things like that, just makes it more personal and special when you're doing something handmade like that. So let me move this so we can really see this all together. I love how this came out. I hope you guys do too. It was really fun doing a video like this, just something casual on the fly. Just putting this together, hanging out, having some fun. And like I said, I cannot wait to hear and see what you guys have made. And if you'd like, you can share your designs or creations with me as well. I know they love to see those in the Bargain Bead Box group on Facebook. And don't forget about their contest that they run every month as well. You can win some credit to their sister store potentially, which is pretty cool. I remember winning that like really early on years ago when I first started doing these videos and making things from the Bargain Bead Box, and I was so excited. So hopefully you guys will get a chance to win some credit to their store, but either way, have some fun making some things from the materials. And you know, this is such a versatile design. Lots of us have these different round beads in different shapes in our stash, and you can pull those together in a similar way with some head pins. And oh, you guys, there's a spider. The world. Anyway, that's all right. That's nature. All right. Anyway, what I was saying is what I totally forgot, but that's okay. Just thanks for being here. This was a lot of fun, and let me know what you think of this design down below. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to come back with some more videos like this where we can come together and create and just have a casual hangout and have some fun, inspire each other. That's what I would ultimately love to be doing. So let's do more of that. Thank you all so much for joining me. Feel free to check out the link down below to this subscription box. And I hope to see you guys again real soon. Talk to you later. Happy beading.